really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, mother... What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, you're listening live and maybe even looking live, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, and you'll find us on North Meridian today. We're at Premier Weight Loss, a place that I have come to know and found a lot of friends and have really changed so many things up since early July. I cannot speak more highly about everybody here and about the entire process. And I know process, that term gets overused because in sports, and especially with the Colts, I mean, everything is about a process and process this and process that. And when, it doesn't work out with the process, you go, oh, man, I'm sick and tired of hearing that word. But here, this has been what I've been a part of since late June, early July. And when I started out, I was more concerned about not following through and, for example, like losing 5 and gaining back 8 or something like that. So I'll be honest with you, with the help from Thomas and my friends at Premier Weight Loss, I went to work on this thing because there's a lot of things, even at the age of 55 right now, that I still want to accomplish. And I'm not talking about career-oriented stuff. Like I accomplished something on Monday. I played twice in pickup hoop in the same day for the first time since the late 1990s. And there are things that I love to do that I feel better, much better about doing right now. Not even talking about the health aspect of it, too, which this time last year, we joked about it on here all the time. Hell, I love joking about it. I was an absolute mess. And now I feel great. My blood pressure is normal. I sleep fantastically. And a lot of this knee pain I complain about, and hey, you got this arthritis in your knee and you need this and you need, really what I needed to do was get my ass to work. And that's what I did with the help from Premier Weight Loss. And we'll talk to Thomas about that coming up a little bit later on. In fact, we are throwing a little bit of a party right here, too. So if you're in and around North Meridian, we would love to see you here. And I can tell you a little bit more about it. I'm always willing to share, and you know that. We know each other really well from the fact that I don't mind telling you absolutely everything. And I can explain it. They have the staff on hand here that can talk it up. We've got Rich Charles folks here as well. We've got some food to eat, healthy food to eat. We've got some cheese. We've got some vegetables. And, of course, if we're rolling with me, especially on a Thursday on the road, you know this to be true, the cocktails. I got a cocktail right now. I can't help that, right? I can't help it because I love it so much. You've seen the action figure, right? One hand, the microphone, other hand, a cocktail. And that's the way that it is. So a shout out to our friends at the Ritz Charles who are here as well. I just am looking for you. Again, North Meridian, is it 8902? Did I get that right over there, everybody? 8902. There's a building and it says 8902 on it. That's where we are. Right as you walk in, I am right here. And if you walk in, it's going to be easy to find because there is no doubt I'm going to be the loudest person in this building. There is no doubt here at Premier Weight Loss. And I cannot thank everybody here enough for all of their help, all of their advice. And you can do the same thing. You can be the same way. Hey, listen, I say this all the time about the stuff that I talk about. If you want to, do it. If you don't want to, I understand. But if you want to, do it. Get busy. And we'll talk it up here at Premier Weight Loss all afternoon. And, again, you can have some refreshments while you're here as well because they are stocked up with that. Great deals. I think I am a nutrition bar or a protein bar fiend, and they've got great deals on that. protein powder, and so much more. And you're right. If you're thinking, man, you know what, a year ago, I cannot believe that you would be talking about that. You're right. But things change. I feel better, and I kind of, you hit a spot right here to where you want to ride this thing and continue this as a part of life, and that's where I am right now. And I would love for you to learn a little bit more about it and chart your own path with my friends at Premier Weight Loss. We'll talk to Thomas about that coming up a little bit later on. Pacer Conversation, General Manager Chad Buchanan, friend of the show, who now there is zero way he's going to show up at a pickup game because he knows he's going to get worked now. But he will show up on this show in the 4 o'clock hour. The news of the day is game 1 on Saturday, Bucks and Pacers, first-round series, Eastern Conference. The Damian Lillard has been cleared of his situation, cleared of blood-thinning medication, no longer has to take that. Now, obviously, he's ruled out of game number 1 of the playoff series Saturday, but Shams suggests in his report that the guard will have a period of time to resume contact workouts and ramp up for a return. So you get a lot of Milwaukee fans. And first of all, I'm talking about health today. That is a major focus. Becoming healthy, being healthy, wanting to live life to its fullest right now. I think that's what hopefully we're all going to be about. And I am happy for Damian Lillard, as should you. I'll give you another angle at this, too. So I have spent the better part of a month suggesting that I would rather, because people ask all the time. I mean, hell, you don't know. It's a flip of a coin. But people ask all the time, would you rather have Milwaukee or Detroit in round number 1? And I always said Milwaukee because they were going to be missing a major component, a major player in Damian Lillard. And now you can look at it and you can go, hey, knucklehead, JMV, he's probably going to return at some point in this series. 1, you don't know if he is. And 2, listen, I don't want this Pacer team to be that. Don't look for the easy way out. If you remember a year ago, all the fun, all the enjoyment, finally they're winning. They're back in the postseason. They push it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and so much of that was about their situation. Look at their advantage. There is no Giannis. Lillard missed some games. Look at their advantage. Brunson is injured. Anunoby's injured in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Look at all the advantages that they have. You know what? I'm sorry, but I don't want to see this Pacer team make it because of injuries. I want to see them make it because they're better, because they execute better, because they look better. They're better prepared, better coached. I want to see them advance because they are the better team. That is what this is all about. So all this BS about, I'm so worried now, I can't believe we would have rather had Detroit. My ass on that. You want to have a team that is the best that it can be. And so be it if Lillard is a part of it. All right? He should be a part of it. Good. I have no problem with it. And you know what? If they lose, then we'll go to the offseason, reevaluate, and I'm assuming if they lose in round number 1, they'll make some changes. I mean, hell, they're going to make changes if they win in round number 1. That's inevitable as it seems. And by the way, dig deep in your pockets. Dig deep. I'm not a big Three Doors Down fan, and I think that's who did this song. But, man, in terms of sports, I got my ass whipped all the time. And I still do. I enjoy playing, even at the lowest of low levels. However, I never would consider myself somebody that want to duck and run over something. That's a Three Doors Down reference right there. All right. Oh, well, it's better off without. Listen, that's fine if that's the circumstance. But this team, this Pacer team, you think you're going to ask any of these guys? Well, I don't know now. I mean, hell, now Lillard may return, so what the hell? Again, if he does, who cares? They're still supposed to win. They're still supposed to be better. There are expectations. None of that changes. There are going to be changes in the offseason anyway. Right? We'll see financially how they end up handling it. I think Steven Simon is now a new follower of my account, and I hate to say it because I'm like playing with the Simon money right here. I don't really care. They got a lot. They have enough for us all to play with, I think. So I'll play with it. All right, if you like your team, find a way to keep your team complete. Now, if you lose in round number 1, you don't meet expectations, and you know a lot of this isn't fitting, and you have to get better here, you have to get better there, then make those changes. Yeah, that's a part of it. But there is no time now, or I should say no time greater than now, to where you, as a sports fan, have to accept change. It is weird. Collegiately, you would fall in love with players, and you're going to get 4 years of those players, and now you're lucky if you squeeze out 4 months of these guys. Completely different situation. Now, again, longer than 4 months, but the same can be said about the NBA or the NFL. You don't know how much time you're going to have, and a lot of what is a part of sports today is about being able to modify what you're doing through change. And hopefully for your team to get better through change. And as a fan, as somebody that covers it, it is to expect change and to accept it. Because, again, it is inevitable. However, there are no good reasons here. Even with the change and the uptick of no longer maybe uncertainty regarding the return of Damian Lillard. Is he good? Yeah. Is he a future Hall of Famer? Absolutely. But all of a sudden, do you have to become scared and worried? They may lose in the first round anyway. And then you'll have to evaluate it afterwards. But if I were you, I wouldn't be scared about this. I wouldn't care about this. All right, the more the merrier. You're a team on the rise. You want to get better, and you don't earn that by being concerned about the personnel on the other side. You just get to work, get down to business, and get the job done. That's all anybody asks. That's all you should want to see. And that's all that should take place in this series, again, regardless of the personnel. Hey, it's funny. You kind of seen it on both sides here recently. I'll give it to you from a Pacers angle. There have been games where they've had starters, like against Cleveland, where nothing looked good. And I shouldn't say all their starters, but they had a couple of starters. And then Cleveland had guys that, I think you played against at the Y last week playing. And, they get up by 20 points. Win a game, whatever. And then there's been a game for the Pacers where they go into Minnesota, playing Minneapolis. Minnesota is winners of 8 consecutive. Got all their guys back, feeling really good about this situation. Nearly everybody seemingly is out for the Pacers, and they go in with their bench guys and get the job done in overtime. And Obi was awesome in that game. You just have to be the better team. And my expectation is that if you look on this roster from top to bottom, and even with the presence of Giannis, and maybe now with the reinsertion at some point of Damian Lillard, this Pacers roster from top to bottom still should be better. I'm not going to sidestep that. I hate it. Well, now I'm all really concerned. Now I'm really concerned. I'm not. So just a thought on that and the potential return of Damian Lillard. We'll get to that and more with this team with Chad Buchanan. Again, this changes nothing of what you should be expecting. And I said this before. I got so sick and tired of hearing about how, this team and the enjoyable losses or entertaining losses or whatever. I mean, that's just such a loser mentality. And I guess you have to view that in terms of, draft capital or whatever all those stupid loser terms are. I know that they're important, but they're still loser terms to me. That just means you stink. This is a team that is on an upward tick and playing off of what they accomplished a year ago. So all of a sudden, I'm not going to say, oh, well, I don't know about it now. Hey, listen, am I a little concerned about I was concerned about the matchup before this news about Lillard today. You should be. I mean, hell, they have Giannis. They have one of the greatest players in the world, one of the better players we have seen. Future Hall of Famer. If Lillard returns, that's 2 future Hall of Famers. But again, the Pacers still should be better. Because what do we talk about with this Pacer team more than anything else? The word team. What we talk about maybe more than anything else is what they bring in to the game off the bench. Not a lot of teams can match that. That's why I've mentioned, too, for the Pacers, I think, to do what they did a year ago, to thrive in the postseason, is you have to get that bench back to being the threat that it was, and T.J. McConnell should be a part of that. T.J. McConnell oftentimes was a guy that just kind of dictated everything off the bench. That's what you need. You need more of a T.J. McConnell in the positive. You'll start right there. And obviously, Obi goes without saying, the guy has stroked a 3 like crazy. Since the All-Star break especially. We'll see how they feel the need to use Jarris Walker. You know, if and when Ben Shepard's going to be a part of it again. We know how much Rick Carlisle likes him. We'll talk to Chad Buchanan about that, the Pacers general manager, coming up here in the 4 o'clock hour. The voice of the Pacers on TV, Chris Denari, bottom of this hour. Chris is going to join us for that particular discussion as well. New to the show, although he's been on here before, Todd Golden used to be a writer for the Terre Haute Tribune-Star, especially covering our Indiana State Sycamores. He writes regarding IU right now. So we'll hit the transfer portal with Todd Golden coming up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour and how IU and Darren DeVries would be doing. So Josiah Miles, Dayton Conaway, that's North Florida. That's the Sunbelt Player of the Year from Troy, and Lamar Wilkerson obviously was the news from Sam Houston yesterday for IU. While we're not going to forget about the Boilermakers, because it's interesting. I was talking yesterday, I think it was Todd Meyer that pointed this out, that when the Boilermaker men's basketball account starts following a player, you can almost guarantee that that player is going to now be announced or reported as a part of the program in the future. And Liam Murphy from North Florida was just that. So Liam Murphy, 6'7", 220-pound shooter, added to the equation with the Boilermakers via the transfer portal. That is in addition to Oscar Clough of South Dakota State, the big man a couple of weeks back, and Omar Meyer is a freshman on the inbound from Israel that we talked about on yesterday's show. So it is interesting to see how teams, again, on a yearly basis. And this, you watch the way Purdue is doing this, and it is so bringing back the memories of the last time we talked to Matt Painter, and he basically broke this down in the fashion in which is going down right now, what you have to do to prepare, because you simply don't know. Maybe he had an inkling about it, but I would bet at the time he didn't know that Miles Colvin was going to bail or that Cam Hottie was going to bail. Maybe you have that thought because it always can occur. But Purdue putting itself certainly top 5, probably top 3 in the preseason college basketball coming up next year. And Darren DeVries is putting together a team. Now, I would think you have that Bailey kid, I think, coming from Davidson, but I would think they would have to add a couple of more, or at least another big guy. But they can put a team out there on the floor, still kind of waiting on Luke Goody in that waiver situation right there, but still can put a team out on the floor. And a lot of guard play and a lot of shooting. And much different than the way that IU, if you remember, Mike Woodson attacked that a year ago. It was more about, all right, let's hard target who are the biggest names and the so-called best players in the transfer portal, and that's who we're going to go get. We will solidify with that. And again, I mentioned yesterday, and I have before, how all that worked out. You could tell these guys individually were talented, but collectively they didn't fit well. Seems like Darren DeVries is trying to put together a group. Now, you can be on either side of this. You can suggest, well, he's trying to put together a group that he wants and fits with what he wants to do and how he believes this program to be successful. Others will argue, well, they're not getting those that were upper tank, and now they're settling. I don't know. The reason why I say that is not knowing is because, last year everybody was all excited about who they got, and then as it turned out, it didn't work. So that discussion coming up. Todd Golden of SI, he covers IU, and then our good friend Tom Dienhart of Golden Black Illustrated in the 5 o'clock hour with Purdue's haul so far. And I'm sure we'll probably work in a little heavy metal with Tommy D coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 this time next week. I know the Colts are having a party, I think, at Lucas Oil Stadium, much like we're having a party at Premier Weight Loss today. But we will get ready for the first round of the NFL draft and what the Colts are going to be thinking. And I think we all understand what they should be thinking. They should be thinking nothing but, zero but tight end. Sorry, you should. Nothing but tight end. That would be a stark change. This is who you want. You know what? Tight end. You change things up so cold in the offseason and free agency. Come on over here, Thomas. We'll chat you up right here, too. But I think hard targeting what you absolutely need and then going out and getting it, whether it's Warren or Loveland, I think that should be the protocol, the plan coming up next week. Mike Chappell joins us. We'll talk about that in the 5 o'clock hour. You can see him now inside the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. You can hear him right now. Premier Weight Loss, North Meridian, Thomas Hilbert. He is presiding over everything here. The presider, can I say that? I think I'm just making a word right here.
We'll count it. The presider works for me.
My brother, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Very excited to have you, so thanks for doing this.
Thank you very much, and a shout-out to Rich Charles. I know you got them in here involved, too. I mean, we got the great healthy foods over there. We've got, because you had me in mind, you've got cocktails here as well. You've got refreshments for everybody. Talk a little bit about what we're doing today here.
Yeah, so here, JMV obviously has joined Premier Weight Loss and joined our program and had pretty phenomenal results. So just wanted to get him out to do a live show, show support for him. He always shows support for us as well. And then just to kind of talk about the process, how we have doctors, nurse practitioners, and kind of try to make sure we do weight loss the right way. And I thought it'd be an awesome ability to bring you on in here.
I love it. Now, am I right? 8902? 8902 is on the building on North Meridian, right here. So this is where you need we would love to see you here. And believe me, they have the staff on hand that can explain, I mean, really smart staff members here that explains absolutely everything. But I can also help if you guys need that too, because when you're dealing with me, and Thomas can attest to this, I was a little bit apprehensive at the beginning because I was afraid I was going to fail. So I thought, man, you know what? I don't have the so-called willpower to do it. And with you guys, the found strength is part of this entire equation that's been awesome.
Yeah, well, you've done awesome yourself, so thank you as well.
All right, tell people what you're going to get when you get here, why you should get here, some of the deals we may have, and all that is going on, Thomas.
Yeah, so long story short, if you come on through tonight, you'll have access to grab some of our food, our snacks, talk with the staff. Any questions you would like answered, we can help answer. And then you can also get free body composition scans. So anyone who comes by will do a body composition scan on you, be about a minute, and you'll get a bunch of results, skeletal muscle mass, percent body fat, all the cool stuff.
That is awesome, by the way, too. I would highly advise you guys stopping by and getting that because it tells you absolutely everything. And you don't just get that opportunity every day. I mean, now you have the opportunity to do that. I mean, it is one hell of a machine right there that tells you absolutely everything. So come by and find out, and then if you need a little advice from anybody here or me, we can help.
Perfect. No, we're very excited.
Well, Thomas Hilbert's going to join us throughout the course of the afternoon. You cool with that?
I'm more than cool with that.
He is right here. Thomas is here at Premier Weight Loss, 8902 North Meridian. Hey, come by. You call it the all-over body scan? That doesn't sound right.
In-body scan or body composition?
Scan. The all-over body scan. Sounds like pictures I'll be taking. The all-over body scan. The in-body scan, which is a piece of equipment that is beyond technology wizardry, is it not?
It is. People are always like, oh, what's the difference between this scale and my scale at home? I say, well, this scale costs more than my car.
Yeah.
And on top of it, it tells you way more than you even really want to know.
Well, I mean, it tells you about visceral fat, your body fat content. I mean, it just lays it all out there for you, too, both the good and the bad. You
the
get
good
the
and
news,
the bad.
And the best part about it is you find out where you really need to attack in this entire process.
No, you do. Honestly, I think the in-body and the body comp scales are one of our biggest advantages because there's nothing like showing patients their own results. It inspires them. You know, when you see,
it does.
I am adding muscle. It makes you want to work out more.
The first time I got on the in-body thing here, I thought somebody was on it with me. I go, what in the hell is this? Like, it measured out 256. I said, I weigh 250. What? I thought, is there a piano on here with me?
Well, you certainly don't weigh that anymore.
Man,
you've had an incredible journey.
178 right now is how we're feeling. And the staff are here, too. They're awesome. Come join us, 8902 North Meridian at Premier Weight Loss. Thomas rejoins coming up in a bit, man. Hang tight. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We got a great afternoon in store. Again, 8902 North Meridian with Premier Weight Loss. We are having a party to get you out and to get you right. Certainly, if you need that advice, we have it here at Premier Weight Loss. Pacer General Manager Chad Buchanan, 4 o'clock hour. I mentioned Todd Golden covers IU after 4. Tom Dienhart, Mike Chappell, that's Purdue and the Colts in the 5 o'clock hour. Chris Denary, voice of the Pacers, he joins us on the other side. Plus, shout out to Bronze Fun Time Campers. We are going to have the most awesome race weekend in the history of race weekends coming up. Austin over at Bronze Fun Time Campers I met with earlier today. I'll explain that coming up. The stream, the app, HD Radio. Do not go anywhere. The AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Join us here at Premier Weight Loss, North Meridian today on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Gets in your face and calls you a I want you to be nice.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Premier Weight Loss, 8902 North Meridian. The in-body scan's absolutely free today. Get that bad boy done and find out a little bit about yourself. I'll be here with you. And then we'll have a refreshment together, which I've already beat you to twice. Shout out to the Rich Charles for the catering effect here. Just awesome folks. Thomas Hilbert and the gang, all at Premier Weight Loss on North Meridian. And I've been coming here since late June, early July. It has been spectacular. And I would love, especially if you're thinking about it. I always got your back, man, if you're thinking about it. You want to be better, this is it. This is a great way to go about it. Premier Weight Loss, 8902 North Meridian is our location. Slide by on your way home from work, especially if you're up here on the north side of Indy, maybe somewhere in southern Hamilton County, maybe somewhere Boone County, whatever, wherever you are. We would love to see you right here at Premier Weight Loss. Get that in-body scan and have some refreshments with us and hang out for a little bit as well. Chad Buchanan, Pacers GM, top of the hour. Big story today. Damian Lillard is off of blood thinners. He evidently, according to Shams, will ramp up activity, and we shall see what might be, what maybe won't be in the first round series. The Bucks and the Pacers, game one coming up on Saturday. And the voice of the Pacers on radio, Chris Denary, is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, John. How are you?
I'll be honest with you. This has been my voice at the start of this show. I don't give a damn. I'm glad the guy is healthy. You want them to be healthy? Good. Be healthy. That's fine, because that is a very, very serious situation. But as far as being that concerned, my expectation is that the Pacers are growing now into one of the better teams in the NBA. So whatever the terms, you go out there and you win. That's still my expectation.
Oh, no question. I mean, I think expectations after last year, and you welcome those. 47 wins last year. You go to the Eastern Conference Finals in a year that not many people expected you to be in the playoffs. I think most people a year ago felt that getting to the play-in tournament would have been the next step, but the Pacers accelerated that step. And then 50 wins this year, home court advantage in the first round. I know there's a lot of excitement around the city, and you've got a tough matchup, and you know, we'll just find out about Damian Lillard. We know he will not play game one. Then there's 2 days off between game two. We'll just have to wait and see, you know, what his status is. But this is going to be a great series. I'm excited to watch it, excited to broadcast it. We've got the first 4 games for sure, and looking forward to it a lot, John.
It's Chris Denary, Pacers TV. Again, game one, 12:30, I would believe. That's when you're going to start. 1 o'clock is that tip time coming up on Saturday. I want to start right here. Give me some advantages where you start with the Pacers. And clearly, the Bucks have the best player on the floor. They have arguably the best player in the NBA, arguably one of the best players we've seen in a long time. But beyond that, Pacers have a lot of advantages. Where do you begin?
Well, I think the one thing is the depth. I mean, they've got one of the best benches in the NBA. I think it's number 8 or 9 in scoring. It's the best shooting bench in the NBA at nearly 50%. And we've seen, you know, how good the bench has been. Now, we also know that in the playoffs with no back-to-backs and the schedule's a little bit different, that a lot of coaches don't have to rely or go as deep into this bench. But I think that's been one of the great strengths. I think it will give Rick Carlisle and his staff ample opportunity to use multiple players to guard Giannis. I mean, I think that's going to be essential. The Pacers have shown they can play big with a backup center in Thomas Bryant, or you could go small with Obi Toppin or Pascal Siakam playing the 5. So, you know, that's the beauty of the NBA playoffs is that there are a lot of adjustments made. What I'd like to see is this Pacers team shoot it a little bit better than they did at the end of the year. But they still won 7 of their last 8 games. They proved that they could come back from deficits. I think that's the one thing that you don't want to do too much in the playoffs is get down early. So I'd like to see this team get off to better starts. But I think this week has come at a good time. The schedule was pretty grueling over the last month. In about a 30-day period, they never had more than 2 days off between games and throw in 4 or 5 back-to-backs. and I thought they did really, really well. So I think there are advantages for both teams. There's no question. As you said, they've got Giannis, one of the best players in the world, but the Pacers also have a group effort and a group that has, I think, great continuity. And that's one of the reasons, John, quite frankly, from a defensive end, they made great improvement this year, because this team was back together again, understood what they needed to do better, and they did that.
So Chris Denary, who is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline too, I know that it's year to year, and I think the comparisons are kind of lame anyway. But let's just say in this case, we'll forego it being a lame comparison and ask, it seems like this year with Giannis, that's obviously a big deal. But I think without a shot maker like Middleton, which we saw when he was out there alone and having to battle for his team, he was problematic. That is something I think, along with the bench, that could end up being as problematic for Milwaukee as anything else, if you want to get Chris right down to it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was a big and a big Chris Middleton fan. Again, he's aging and maybe, not able to do the things that he did 2-3 years ago. But we remember, as you did, what he was able to do in the postseason last year. Kuzma's a different player, not as good a three-point shooter, though toward the end of the year he shot it better. They do have A.J. Green and Gary Trent Jr. Coming off the bench. They have proven that they can make shots. And the one thing that Giannis has done without Lillard is he's become more of a facilitator and a ball handler, a points forward. I mean, over the last 8 or 9 games, John, he was averaging nearly a triple-double. He had 20 assists in a game. So that's the thing that you have to do if you're Indiana, put pressure on the other guys to have to make shots. In the 3 wins this year that the Bucks had against the Pacers, Giannis went for 30-plus in those. In the Pacers win at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in early March, he scored just 19. So it'll be interesting to see the impact that Giannis has from a scoring perspective, but without Damian Lillard, he's had the ball in his hands a lot more and really facilitated for his teammates.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that too. I look at this, and the one thing that may be more of an edge, certainly for Milwaukee, is the saltiness they have from how they were this time last year and how things ended up. And also, I guess you can look at it, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not, of if you want to describe it as a window closing, Milwaukee's window maybe sliding down a little bit, because this team has been at this level now with Giannis for a long time, and you don't really know how charted the future is going to be much past this playoff season, I think, for the Bucks. So I think that's also something that added as far as the equation of conversation for the series is concerned too, Chris.
Yeah, no question. I mean, you look at their roster. Lillard is 34. Portis is 30. Lopez is 37. Taurean Prince, who they acquired this year, is 31. Pat Connaughton, who doesn't play very much, is 32, and Giannis is 30. So they're significant contributors right now are all 30-plus. So you're right. I mean, this is an important year for the Bucks, an important series for the Bucks, and how do they move forward after this year? And I think that's the one thing that all franchises look at. You have to look at the here and the now. And that's a good thing about where the Pacers are right now. They've got a lot of young players. I mean, Halliburton's done all that he's done, and he's only 25. You've got Nesmith, who's only 25. Obi's 25. So you have a significant group of players that still, I believe, have their best basketball in front of them.
All right, we can always say Tyrese Halliburton because we need the orchestrator and we need the incredible offensive threat. We need that dual role, I think, certainly from Halliburton. But who becomes most important outside of Halliburton? And arguably you could say Siakam, but, man, Miles Turner a year ago was such a significant advantage against the Bucks. Is that what you're looking at as maybe outside of Halliburton, the second more effective type of look and what is necessary for the Pacers to really be successful?
Yeah, he had a couple of 29-point games against the Bucs last year in that 6-game series. But the other guy that I'm really going to focus on, and I thought he was excellent in the playoffs last year, and that's Andrew Nemhard. I just think he can do so many things. At the end of the year, he did not shoot the ball very well. And that's something that he did in the postseason last year. He averaged 15 points and 6 assists. He had 4 20-point games. He had a 30-point game. So it's not to put a lot of pressure on somebody like that, but they're going to pay a lot of attention to try to get the ball out of the hands of Tyrese Halliburton, and that's the advantage of having a second ball handler like the Pacers have with Nesmith or with Nemhard. And I just think he's going to be a critical factor. And then it's going to be the ability to make 3-point shots. That is something that the Pacers are going to have to do, because we saw at times this year Milwaukee would go into a zone and try to force the Pacers into some difficult shots. So I think Nemhard is going to be a big key, just like he was in the postseason last year for the Pacers.
Yeah, and hopefully so. He's a guy, and you mentioned the benefit of having some time off. Like, I hope that's it. Normally, I would suggest somebody like Nemhard, somebody like Siakam, you just need to see, in terms of rest, the basketball go through the rim as you usually do. But in this case, maybe it was better off these guys got a blow or two that was significant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the last month was a grind, and you have to give them a lot of credit because, John, if you go to mid-March, after the Pacers won that game that Halliburton scored on the 4-point play, the Pacers had a back-to-back at Philly and at Milwaukee and lost to the Bucks. And I think at that point, they were not in fourth. I think Milwaukee had the fourth spot, and the Pacers were fifth. And it looked like Milwaukee, had a pretty favorable schedule down the stretch, even though they went out west for 4 or 5 games. And so you got to give the Pacers a lot of credit for focusing on that final month of the season and taking care of business and putting themselves in position to get home court advantage. And they had to do that with a really, really good play at the end of March and into April.
12:30 on TV. They got you covered. You always, with all due respect to others that we know that are doing the game, I think we always know the protocol around here. Always local, all the time. Chris Denary, Quinn Buckner, JJ, Eddie Gill, local Chris. And game 1, 12:30 is the coverage underway, right, with you guys?
Yes, with the pregame, I had a great conversation. You know what's funny, and it is local. We've covered the team all year long. The two people that will be doing it on ESPN on Saturday, I know very, very well. In fact, I just spent –
and I like him a great deal, right.
I spent about a half hour with Stephanie White, the Fever coach, and I worked alongside her for many years, but she'll be doing the analyst work for ESPN with Michael Grady. So from an Indiana perspective, we have you covered all day long on Saturday. We will have the first 4 games for you on FanDuel Sports Network, and really looking forward to it. Can't wait to be downtown on Saturday. It's going to be electric.
Yeah. At least we don't. I don't know. I'm assuming, does Marcus Johnson still do it for the Bucks?
Yeah, Marcus Johnson does it. Yes, he doesn't do all the games, but he does most of them.
All right. He was the best part of White Men Can't Jump. Going back in the day, right there, Marcus Johnson. He wasn't the best part last year. He was kind of pain in the ass last year, but he was the best part of White Man Can't Jump. So
Lisa Byington does the play-by-play. Marcus Johnson is the analyst. Though Steve Novak, the former NBA player and Marquette player, he steps in there as well at times on the Bucks telecast.
You got it, Chris. We'll be watching. Appreciate you, buddy.
All right, thanks, John.
You got it. That's Denary right there, and Pacers TV starts at 12:30, much like Pacers Radio does coming up on Saturday right here on The Fan. Today, Premier Weight Loss. Thomas rejoins on the other side. Get here. The In-Body Scope, I think, or I don't know if I get it right. It's your In-Body. You can get here. You can't get it anyplace else. You walk in and you find out exactly what you need here today at Premier Weight Loss. And those that can explain and help you out in this entire process, they're here as well. Refreshments provided too. Rich Charles in the house. We'd love to see you. 8902 North Meridian. Premier Weight Loss. Pacers GM Chad Buchanan, top of the hour. Quick break. Back with you next to Premier Weight Loss on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
No nonsense.
Oh, look, this is futile.
No, it isn't.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The awesome Lee Corso is going to step away. What, 4 decades of college game day? Which is a big, you kind of knew that was coming anyway. Big news from today. He will retire after week number 1 of the 2025 college football campaign from a gig that he has done so well for 4 decades. Lee Corso, 90 years of age, and has been absolutely awesome. Hey, thanks for joining us, Premier Weight Loss. North Side location, North Meridian, 8902 North Meridian. We have refreshments and food for you. We have the whole in-body thing working as well. You can come in here and get that for free. And I've been on this. I've done the in-body, I think, 8 or 9 times, and it is absolutely fascinating. If you want to find out everything about you, listen, I want to be around here forever, and I want you around here forever, because without you, come on now, right? I mean, we're on the same page with that, so get it here, and if you've been thinking about doing it, let's put the wheels in motion and get that bad boy going at Premier Weight Loss. You can find out more about it right now. That's pwlnd.com, pwlnd.com. But we would love to see you here on North Meridian, 8902 North Meridian. And Thomas rejoins us coming up in a couple of minutes regarding that as well. The big news of the day, Damian Lillard, he is off of blood thinners. The blood clotting evidently is now clear, and he is going to, according to Shams and ESPN, ramp up his ability to return for the Bucks at some point in the postseason. We just don't know when that point is in the postseason. Bucks-Pacers game 1 coming up on Saturday. 12:30 coverage begins right here on The Fan. That is a 1 o'clock start. From what should be and what better be, I'm going to say, fan, you got to bring it too, fans. You always do. I don't doubt that you don't. But you got to bring it. And I know you're going, well, it's the first round. Oh, no. Bring it. Make it most difficult. The most difficult arena for a road team to play in. And have some fun with it as well. Saturday, 1 o'clock is that tip time. Speaking of fun, I didn't want to mention this. Shout out to Austin. Austin owns Bronze, and I don't know if you've seen this before or not. I'm sure you have over on the northeast side off of Pendleton Pike. Bronze Fun Time Campers. So I have learned this. We are going to do an entire weekend at the track. Now, actually, here's how it starts. It starts with the Grand Prix. We'll be out there in the infield with the Bronze Fun Time Camper RV. The KZ RV will be in the infield for the Grand Prix, or as I like to reference it, the Grand Prix. But for the Grand Prix and the infield, but for race weekend, this is going to be different. And the most dramatically awesome JMV takeover. You talk about going to a different level. And believe me, we've been twice to Mystic Waters live, and it's been awesome. We'll do it again coming up on Labor Day weekend. Now it's become a rite of passage. However, we are going to do the JMV takeover, as we normally do, the night before the 500, live from the Coke Lot in our Bronze, are you ready? Our Bronze Fun Time Camper RV. Around it, in it, on top of it. So the live JMV takeover from the legendary Coke Lot. And I want to thank Austin and Bronze Fun Time Campers for providing that. I went out there today to Pendleton Pike and hung out with Austin for a little bit, and we found the one we were going to utilize. I'll be honest with you, they're going to set it up, I think, on Carb Day morning. So I'm basically going to be out there in this RV Carb Day through Monday. So that is going to be the epicenter, party central for all of us in the Coke Lot coming up for race day weekend. I'll continuously remind you of what is going to be absolutely awesome. But the JMV takeover for the first time live from the Coke Lot the night before the 500. And thanks to Bronze Fun Time Campers. Check that out. Pendleton Pike. Ask for Austin and tell him that I sent you. I mean, this KZ RV is awesome. More on that coming up. Also, Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager. Postseason is upon us officially. Nothing tonight. The finals of the play-in to get a couple of more teams into the postseason coming up tomorrow night. But we'll talk about specifically the Bucks and the Pacers game 1. Chad Buchanan's coming up on the other side. Transfer portal, IU and Purdue. We'll get reports from both angles. And Mike Chappell regarding the Colts and the NFL draft a week away. Premier Weight Loss, North Side. North Meridian, 6902. We would love to see you here. I shall explain on the other side. Don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
with JMV.
Nachos, lemon heads, my dad's boat. You won't go down 'cause my
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Let me tell you where we are today. North Meridian, that's 8902 North Meridian, Premier Weight Loss. Thomas Hilbert's going to rejoin in a second. He presides over everything here, and we've got a great deal. And in body, you get a chance to look at what's going on with you, too, just beyond your weight. And all the advice in the world, if you're thinking of making a change, and a change for the better, if you don't need it, we understand that. That is great. But I am all in on your health. You've had to listen about mine for the better part now 6 months, so I am also in on you. If you want some advice from me, I can give it to you. If you want to hang out with us, we have refreshments courtesy of Rich Charles as well. Just a great group here today at Premier Weight Loss. And obviously, this is a great spot to come, learn a little bit about yourself, learn a little bit more about what you can do, and then have a good time as well. Premier Weight Loss, 8902 North Meridian here on the north side of Indianapolis. Join us here, and we'll talk you up whenever you get here as well. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he is a friend of the show, and he, along with his team, are embarking upon the postseason beginning on Saturday at 1 o'clock, that tip time. 12:30 coverage begins right here on The Fan with the pregame show, and that is, of course, the Bucks and the Pacers in round number 1 and game number 1 of their first-round series in the Eastern Conference playoffs. General Manager of the Pacers, Chad Buchanan, is with us. Hey, Chad, good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you today, John?
Are we busy, buddy, today? What are we doing?
Nah, nothing really going on here. Just kind of kicking around, playing some cards at the office today. You know, that kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah, not much at all, too. Listen, I said this from the outset. I don't care who it is. You play them and you beat them because that's what I would expect from this group. But were you at all kind of shocked, sideswiped about the news regarding the health? And it's good, too, because the situation's scary with Damian Lillard. But were you at all surprised or shocked by that news today that was reported?
Like I said, first off, you're just happy for a guy like that, his health. You know, I've known Damian since I was with the Blazers, and he's a first-class guy, great competitor, great player, obviously. So, you know, you hear things about his health and his availability and things like that, but, not completely shocked. You know, I think players are, going to do everything they can in their power to be available, especially this time of year for the playoffs. And Dame's a great competitor, and I'm sure he was doing everything in his power to get himself back. And I'm sure he has first-class doctors he's working with. So you got to be prepared for anything this time of year. And, our focus really is, on a really good team. I mean, the Bucks are a very, very good team. They're playing well at the right time of the year, and they gave us all kinds of problems this year during the regular season. So we got our hands full.
Chad Buchanan, Pacers General Manager on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Game 1, tip time, 1 o'clock, Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Saturday. You guys got to rock that joint. Are there any subtle, not so subtle comparisons or really anything whatsoever to be made from this postseason set compared to what we witnessed a year ago with these same two teams, Chad?
I mean, it's similar, I would say, style of play for both teams, but the personnel is a little different, on their end, especially. They've got, obviously, I'm sure they've got some hunger to play us, after last year, missing, Giannis for the entire series. Dame missed a couple games. You have some new players on their side, and I think there's an added intrigue because of that, the rematch of a very competitive series last year. And but as far as style of play, I think both teams still relatively are the kind of same identity of play. It's the same coaches, same system. So, we've got to be prepared for a team that's, shoots the crap out of the ball. I mean, they got so much shooting around Giannis, and they're playing well right now. Giannis is playing as well as anybody in the league headed down the stretch. So I think we know what we're up against, and we've just got to be prepared to go to battle, every game.
Yeah, I mentioned too, Chad, about being shocked, and you weren't shocked about the news on Lillard today. But Are you shocked at all? And it's not so much the points and the rebounds because, I mean, hell, Giannis can get anywhere on the floor where he wants. But, man, the assist numbers recently. I mean, the stats stuffing in terms of finding teammates open. I know he's always kind of viewed himself as a great passer and finding the open man and a team player, and I get that. But I think that certainly has risen here down the stretch of the season because he's been very Jokic-like, has he not, down the stretch with the overall game?
Absolutely. I mean, he's a beast to try and cover. It doesn't take one guy. It takes a whole team and a whole kind of game plan to slow him down. And I think the difference this year is, they have 5 players on their roster that are all shooting at least 40% from three. And that doesn't even include Damian or, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis. Those guys are all good shooters. They got 5 other guys that are shooting 40% or above from three, and 4 of them weren't on their roster last year. So, Dame's got a lot of, Giannis, has got a lot of shooting around him, and those guys are really sticking shots right now. And that creates a whole sort of issues for your defense trying to figure out how to, pick your poison. Do you want to take away the three-point shooting and, give Giannis the lane to the rim, or do you want to try to take away Giannis and, hopefully, contest shots from the perimeter and hope they miss shots? So he's a load to match up against, and it's going to take everybody on the floor at all times aware of where he's at and what he's trying to do.
It's Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager. Bucks-Pacers game 1, first-round series in the East starts coming up again at 1 o'clock on Saturday. 12:30 coverage begins right here on The Fan. Here's what was interesting. Kristen and I brought this up here before you came on, that this was the first longer period of rest this team has seen in a while. I'm curious where you are as far as, playing and ramping up and going into the offseason, or in this case, it looked like some dudes needed a blow or a rest or two. Is that going to turn out, you think, to be better than just kind of making that transition while playing for this team as it enters the postseason?
Our team, I think, one of the identities and traits of this year's team is when they've had a chance to have a couple extended, days of good practice time, we've typically played well coming out of that, few days. And that, this week obviously has allowed that, given, the last few games of the year, giving some guys some time to refresh their legs a little bit, has made practices, I think, this year, or this week, I should say, very, very good. And I think, you like to keep in a rhythm as much as you can, but there's times where you're just a little out of gas and you need a breather. And, Coach Carlisle and his staff do such a great job of monitoring and not overloading guys with minutes. I think I've told you this before. Pascal, coming from Toronto, is used to playing 37, 38, 40 minutes a game. And, he's playing 33, 34 to 35 on a high minutes night. And that over the course of the season, players want to play more. But by the end of the season, you hope that you get the benefits of a fresh player. And we saw that last year, and hopefully we'll see that again this year. And, this week has been good to get us focused in on one team, on one game on Saturday, and one opponent. And I think, we're fresh and, we're ready to go.
It's Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager, with us. The bench has been such an important part of this entire thing, going all the way back to, what was a fantastic season and certainly a great playoff run a year ago. Where are you right now with the level of bench play? Obi, I don't know if he's missed a three since the All-Star break, which is pretty awesome. But where are you with the bench? Because I always look at this, Chad, and I'm assuming you do the same, is to me that may end up being the biggest factor, is because of the pace you guys play and what you want to do offensively. And the defense is better this season. And I think that if the offense, especially if you get that bench production, continues to go at a high clip, that makes this Pacer team even more difficult to play against. Where is this bench presently in your estimation going into the postseason?
No, I completely agree with that. What you're talking about, the bench production is so important to us and to our success. I mean, our starting five is a very good starting five with a lot of talent and a lot of, fit together with that group. But when our bench is producing and, continue with the pace that our starters play at, and playing with the energy, and they really get the crowd into the game. I feel like our bench does. So we need them playing at a high level. It's going to be very difficult to win a playoff game or a playoff series without our bench playing at a high level, and that's each individual guy. Each one of those players off our bench brings a little something different to the team, and we need production from them, and they know that. And the nights where we've struggled this season, lots of times our bench had a rough night. So I'm hoping and expecting those guys to pick up the play, and when they check into the game and keep the pace going, and play with confidence. Like you said, Obi's shooting the ball terrifically right now, and I think TJ is ready for the postseason. And Benedict obviously didn't get to play last year in the postseason, so I think he is anxious for that opportunity. And everybody's got to be ready. And you touched on our defense. I think that's a huge bright spot for our group this year, and it's got to carry over into the postseason because our guys have really got committed to that this year, and we've seen growth and we've seen improvement. And credit to our players and our staff because that was a big emphasis, as going into this year and throughout the season. And I think that's a major reason why we had, the turnaround that we had for the last 2/3 of our season was our defense.
Chad, I was curious your thoughts on that, and clearly the numbers show that the defense is better. And, we used to talk about how it is predicated on how you have to force the issue offensively. And you'd always mention, if each guy would just step up their game team-wise, individually in this case, defensively, that means our team gets better defensively. Where have you seen the best improvement with that in mind, especially in terms of how you explained it to us a year ago?
I feel like there's just a better connectedness with our group, and that starts with our starting unit. Tyrese is teams have picked on him in the past, and I think he takes great pride in trying to fight through that. And I think he's had, these last month or so, he's made a lot of plays on the defensive end, whether it be blocking shots or getting in a passing lane or, just tipping a ball out to a teammate. When he's making some things happen on the defensive end, that really sparks the rest of our group. And, having Drew and Aaron back, really stabilizes a lot of things on our perimeter as far as hard-playing, physical, tough-minded defensive guys. And, our benches come in, and I feel like just as a whole unit, as we started to play better, I think our guys felt like, hey, we're playing better because our defense has been improved. And so I think they really bought into that. And, there's going to be nights and there's going to be matchups that you're just not going to have it, just like it is shooting the ball. But I think, we'll have a real challenge on our hands, like I mentioned earlier, with this Milwaukee team. And it's going to take everybody being connected, like I mentioned before, to have a chance to stop this team.
He is Pacers general manager Chad Buchanan. Pacers game 1, round 1, Milwaukee East playoff series coming up on Saturday. That tip is at 1 o'clock. You referenced Benedict Mathurin, who was unable to play a year ago in the postseason. And it seems like if there is anybody that is overwhelmingly excited, it is him about getting into this, something he's certainly thoroughly missed this time a year ago.
I think Benedict might have shown up in his uniform at practice on Monday, actually, hoping that the game was going to take place that day. He's very amped up to play in these playoffs, and I think he's confident that he can contribute and help us perform well. But this is his first experience of it. It's his first taste of a playoff series, and our players would all tell you it's a different level of play. You've been to a playoff game before. It's a different level of intensity. It takes a different level of commitment and focus, and all the little things on every single possession, because every possession matters in the playoffs. And sometimes it's one little mistake that you make that in the regular season you can get by with, and coach leaves you in the game, and you play through it. But in the playoffs, it just can't happen, because that can cost you a game and it can cost you a series. So, we're going to be, Ben's going to be ready to go. I'm sure he's going to want to go at guys, but he's also got to, get a feel for what the level of intensity and a playoff game is all about too.
Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager, with us. You mentioned Obi, and you know how big of a fan I am. You know how big of a fan my mom is of Obi Toppin. When you got him, and then when you brought him back, did you expect the type of production in which he is giving right now, especially off the bench? Because this year, especially and since the All-Star break, he's been fantastic.
He has been terrific. I mean, Obi is a guy, and like I've said before, he's a guy we targeted, and he was in another situation. We felt our style of play would be a great match for him, and we hoped that it would be, and sure enough, it was last year. And I feel like, he's a player. Sometimes a player gets into the prime of his career, and he gets a contract, and they kind of get settled in, and they kind of put it on cruise control, and they're driving 32 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone. They kind of lose a little bit of their edge. And to Obi's credit, I feel like he's taken even another step with his play this year, especially this last half of the season. He's been such a consistent player for us off the bench. And I think in the playoff setting, you'll see him play some different positions at times. Last year we utilized him at some center in this matchup. Whether we do that again this year or not, we'll see. But he's a major force for us off the bench. And when he's shooting the ball like he is and providing some transition offense and rebounding, he makes a real impact every night for us. And I think he's confident heading into this playoff series too.
Hey, yeah. How do you guys plan on defensively handling Giannis? You said throw a lot of bodies at him. How many bodies do you intend on throwing at him? Like everything? Is this like a kitchen sink situation for the Bucks star?
Well, I would have asked for you to be out there with us, but you're so skinny now, you're not really going to have any impact if we put you out there. But
I'm getting a stronger base though, buddy. I'm working on my base right now, so I'm gonna once I develop a little bit of ass, I'll be okay. I've lost a little bit of ass. Yeah,
that's all right. I think guarding Giannis, different teams try different strategies towards him. Some teams will try to force him to, bait him into shooting long jump shots. Some teams will double team him to get the ball out of his hands. Some people put smaller players on him to pressure him. I mean, there's so many different ways to try to attack him, and we've got to be creative. And our coaches will, come up with the best way to do that, with our personnel. And it may be something different every game. You never know. You got to try to slow a guy down, try to take him out of his rhythm, because he's in a terrific groove right now with how he's played down the stretch for their team.
I'm not going to lie to you. I am a little bit nervous, and here's why. Because I'm the one that told you guys, and then you did it, to bring everybody back. So this has to work. This has to work. I appreciate you guys taking my advice on that, but I want this to work. And I've said this to you before, and you know this to be true. I want this to work more than anything I've wanted anything around here sports-wise to work in forever. Seriously, it is just so important because this is a tremendous group of dudes. And Chad, for the first time a year ago, was just kind of happy-go-lucky and was fun. And now you have a level of heaped-on expectations. And I would love to see them match and surpass that, which – it's always a difficult scenario to do that, no matter what team you're talking about in the postseason.
No doubt. And you hit it on the head. This is a great group of guys that have come together this season and, got things turned around after a slow start. And they're playing well. They're confident, but the playoffs is a totally different beast, like you mentioned. And I think we all want to see this group succeed because they play the right way. They play together. They support each other. The coaches have done a terrific job developing, a culture here with this team and a real identity of how we play. And it's fun for our fans, but you get in the playoffs and it's anything can happen on any given night. Every game is its own little story. You can play well in the first game and get a lot of confidence and then get punched in the mouth game two, and it's a different style of game, different, things happen from game to game, and you got to have a group of guys that stick together through it all. You can't react to the highs and lows of a playoff game, a playoff series, because there's going to be both highs and lows. And the one thing I've learned about the NBA is all your weaknesses, eventually get exposed when you get into a playoff series. And do you have enough strength, enough perseverance, enough fight to get through when another team, exploits you and exposes your weakness, and just as you're trying to do back to them. And it comes down to a war of wills. And, we've got a rivalry with this team, and I know they're anxious to play us just like we're anxious to play them, and it's going to be great basketball. I think it's going to be a tremendous series. It's going to be very competitive, lots of back and forth, and just looking forward to the challenge, just like I know all of our players are.
I expect a level of physicality that they will bring too. You guys expecting the same thing?
Definitely. I think our guys are ready for that. I mean, they embrace teams, that, come at them physically. I don't think we were a young team last year and experienced in the playoffs mostly for the first time. And we got a taste of it. And I think our guys are ready for that physicality. And I think they're going to embrace it and match it. And let's see what happens.
Yeah, I call it muddying up the water. I think that some teams do that, and especially the ones that you've seen it from a little bit before, and that's my expectation. I'm hoping this Pacer team smartly matches that intensity and that physicality, because I think at some point it's coming. And here's the one thing I don't like. I don't know how you feel about it. I'm sure you're going to tell me it doesn't matter whenever you play because it's about playing. But being number one out of the gate at 1 o'clock on Saturday, I think sucks. I hate that.
Our guys are ready to go, John. I think they would play.
I know. I knew that's the answer I was going to get. Yeah.
If you told them the game was 9 a.m. Saturday, they would be ready to go.
Yeah.
That's what Milwaukee too. It's once you tip the ball, you don't know what time it is or what day it is. You're just out there to compete and try and win.
I know that Matherin's been wound up for like a year, so you're going to have to dial him down a little bit. Probably. And honestly, you don't want to do that either. So yeah.
Yeah. So I would say this. Our fans. We're going to need our fans in this series. Our team really feeds off their energy, and they've been so great this year for us, and we need them more than ever as we start this playoffs, and hopefully they're ready to go early on Saturday for us and get the building juiced up and get our guys ready to go.
Man, I'm excited for you. I really am. It has been fun. These last 2 years have been so enjoyable, certainly to watch, and this is just a part of the growth that is expected too. I think trying to think. Well, hold on a second. Steve Simon started following me on social media.
Oh, big time!
So I'm gonna tell him to get. I'm gonna start telling him to get busy on stuff. Gotta get busy. So, because you guys took my advice. See, I'm nervous about it. You guys took my advice. This is all on me. So,
we'll need to meet with you after the season, after see how things go, and we need your input on what to do next year too. So,
yes, we do.
You're smart at basketball, John. I tell people that all the time. You've got a great feel for the game and a great feel for
I love it.
What's going on out there. So I give you major props for that.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I may not be smart at it, but I tell you what, Chad, I love it. I freaking love every second of it. And when you have a team that you really enjoy watching, like this group, just a group of guys that you can really, get behind and people want to support. I think that even takes it to a different level. That's kind of, I think, what the fans feel about this group right now and why they want to see them be so successful. So.
Yep, as do I. You're a reflection of what Indiana basketball is about. When I moved here, I knew people here love the game, but you are a voice for a lot of people out there, and our team really appreciates that and appreciates the passion that people have for them, and they want to do well for them. And hopefully this is another good experience, this playoff run for us.
Hey, I played twice in one day on Monday for the first time since the 90s, and we got to give a shout-out because I'm assuming you know John Licklider a little bit, right?
I do. I know the name, yep.
Yeah, John Licklider opened up at St. Luke's, right near where I sit right now at Premier Weight Loss on the north side. And I played at the Hyper in Bloomington, which is legendary on Monday morning, midday, and then went to the north side that night with a bunch of Marian University dudes, which was a good-ass time. So, yeah, love it. At 55, man, 2 days, 2 times in one day. I'm feeling good about it, buddy.
How did you feel the next morning? That's the real question.
Awesome. I feel great. Thanks to Thomas and Premier Weight Loss right now. Seriously, I feel great. Yes, absolutely great. So, hey, go get them. Tell the guys to be ready to go. I'm sure they won't need that advice. They'll be ready to go anyway, but we'll be enjoying it. We'll catch back up over the course of the postseason here, Chad. Thank you very much.
You're the best, John. Thank you.
Chad Buchanan, Pacers General Manager on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Thomas Hilbert of Premier Weight Loss rejoins on the other side. Todd Golden, IUSI, coming up to Chapel, Deanhart, 8902 North Meridian, Premier Weight Loss today. Get that in body. And let's talk about how, if you're thinking about shedding some pounds and getting into shape, this is the absolute best course. Premier Weight Loss today, 8902 North Meridian. Love to see you. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Explain visceral fat because that sounds really gross.
Yeah, visceral fat. So I'll do the best I can. I'm far from a doctor, but visceral fat is the kind of fat that actually gathers around your organs. And
we don't like
causes
that.
things like peripheral artery disease, coronary artery disease. So it's the fat you do not want.
We don't want it. You do not want it. So, yeah, get here and you can get that in body, which is a big deal, too. Plus, Rich Charles, they brought some refreshments.
They did. They got some great food, too.
Yeah, great food, refreshments, and more up here. We're going to be here until
7 o'clock.
Until 7 o'clock tonight. So join. Hell, I'll stay until 7 as well here too. So join us, 8902 North Meridian, Premier Weight Loss. Sit tight right there, Thomas, for a second, because I'm going to get to our next guest on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Todd Golden, SI.com, covers the Indiana Hoosiers. Now it's interesting because Todd used to work back in the day for the Tribune Star, and he was a guy that covered our Indiana State Sycamore. So a little bit of a subtle change down State Road 46 for Todd, who joins us right now. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Now, did you move or are you still where you are?
I did finally move. I commuted from Terre Haute for about a year and then moved down to the southwest side of Bloomington a couple years ago. So,
but you're almost in Greene County then. Are you almost in Greene County, or do you live in Highland Village?
No, I live in beautiful Clear Creek. So, getting close to Greene County, in that direction. I wanted to be as close to your home base as possible. But
let me tell you.
It's been a couple years since I did Indiana State, although I did briefly go back last summer. So it's shout out to the Hote and shout out to B-Town. I belong to both now, so it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And that's just like me. I mean, it's the same for me as well. So Clear Creek, you shop clearly at the Clear Creek Kroger location, don't you? Right there on South Walnut.
Sure do. I live right down the block from it. Yeah. So
so I've been there before.
One of the many in Bloomington. Yeah. So hit that a lot. So it's Bloomington life. It's been good.
I love Bloomington. I go down there, and I think I'm going to go down there tomorrow morning. I got a friend of mine that works in the Hyper, and he opens up the Hyper at 11:45 Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I go down there and play a little pickup in the Hyper, which is one of my favorite things to do. So growing up in and around Bloomington, and even loving Terre Haute as I do, obviously I have a great deal of love for Bloomington in that area, Monroe County, Greene County, where I'm from as well. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. All salt of the earth. When I worked in Terre Haute, we covered the half of the Greene County high schools, not all of them, but so I got down there a lot. But eventually, I would get around to all of those high schools at some point, and it was always fun to go down there. Great people. Now I'm on the eastern half. I used to be more Linton and Jasonville oriented. Now more like the Yoho. General store and all that, the eastern half of Greene County, Tulip Trestle. I might go up there and put some graffiti on it, but it's a great part of the state. I love it.
If I were to tell you that once upon a time in my youth I rode a motorcycle across that trestle, would you believe me?
I mean, sure. I mean, that's crazy though. What the how much? I don't want to know what your blood alcohol level was.
I'll be honest with you. The CSX people told me never to bring that up again, and I try not to. But you brought it up, and I thought, well, yeah. I mean, there was some nutty stuff going on.
Yeah,
up there.
I should probably say as a disclaimer, do not go up on there and put graffiti. That's very dangerous.
Never, ever. Yeah, the CSX people would all the time say would get mad at me about that. So yes, never, ever.
Doubt.
That is private property up there. And by the way, shout out to Carl Cook. You mentioned the Yoho General Store in Salisbury. Carl Cook and his awesome wife, Marcy, who was a year below me, the class of 1989 at Eastern Green. They're the ones that redid the whole Yoho's General Store in Salisbury in Greene County. It looks fantastic today.
Beautiful little place in Greene County. That's what it's all about. I mean, it's all kinds of little gems down here like that.
No doubt about it. And by the way, I think Carl Cook found that money to do that in his couch cushion, which is really nice. So, shout out to Carl. Hey, I did want to ask you this. I think you are probably as big a fan as Deb as I was. What do you think about, presidentially speaking, at Indiana State, the direction they're going in now?
Yeah, I missed the really good stuff. I was already here by the time the crap,
you missed Deb. Deb was a
no,
treat.
I didn't. I definitely didn't miss Deb. I was there for part of Deb, but I missed it when it came to a conclusion. Yeah, that's there was what a mess that whole situation was with the baseball regional. That was after I left, but there was. Just the direction of the school, the morale forget about athletics, just the morale at the school itself was so bad, and that was a decision that needed to be made. And hopefully Indiana. I covered Indiana State for so long. I wish them well, and but something needed to be done at the leadership level to make sure that they could be put in a position to do well. And so, for that to happen is a big deal. And I know. The new leadership at Indiana State is committed to athletics. It's a tough environment for mid-majors with NIL and all of that, but I feel confident that they're going to get it right. I do like the coaches they have in place right now, so hopefully they're able to continue and build on some of the success that they've had in recent years. Both baseball and men's basketball had some great moments right after I left. So it was funny. I went back and covered a game during Schertz's year. The one game I covered was the game they lost, and they were like, "Well, get the hell out of here! You know what? Don't come back." So, but what they did, what Josh did there was outstanding. Matthew Graves is going to do a great job with men's basketball. He's a great guy, as everybody knows. Butler people, of course, familiar with him too, and so I hope so. It's such a great community, and they deserve all the success that they can get.
Absolutely love him. It is Todd Golden, SI.com, covers the Hoosiers. All right, the most commonly asked question I get regarding this, Todd, is with first-year head coach Darren DeVries getting into this transfer portal thing down in Bloomington, is this combination of players that he's bringing in for year number one, is it more of what he wants to get his system underway and his process underway, or is it having to deal with because others at a higher level, other players went someplace else? How do you view the way that Darren DeVries has brought in these guys from the transfer portal to this point?
I think of the players he's brought in, that he said it from the beginning that he was going to fit to a system, and I think he's stuck with that. His son, Tucker DeVries, it doesn't hurt to have him coming on board. I mean, he would have been a top portal addition no matter where he went. So that's a good basis to build on. He's a shooter, volume shooter. He can shoot threes. He was, 45%, I think, before he got hurt at West Virginia last year. That's a good basis for the beginning of it. The guys that they've added since, like Lamar Wilkerson, Tayton Connerway last night, these are guys that fit in around that. Now, Wilkerson himself is a volume shooter and should be able to fit what DeVries wants to do with his guards. Connerway fits the defensive mold that DeVries wants to play, and I don't know that a lot of people are talking about that enough. I mean, he's, he led the Sun Belt, the Sun Belt Conference in steals the last 2 years. And what I remember of DeVries' teams at Drake when I saw him coach there was he always had a head of the snake point guard who forced not only the tempo on the offensive end, but on the defensive end. And I think that's where people need to kind of hone in on Connerway a little bit, is he is going to give Indiana what they want defensively in terms of creating offense out of defense. So, and he can shoot and all of that, but I think that's the puzzle piece that Connerway fits within this particular mode. So based on some of those additions, they still need to get a front court guy to fit what he does. But what I've seen is basically what I used to see at Drake from his teams, in that he wants tough guys. He wants guys who can shoot, spread the floor, and then go from there. So, and I don't know that there's been, it's not like there's been many lead pipe portal additions anyway. There's a few that have come on today, but I think based on what he wants to do, he's done a good job fitting the puzzle pieces together.
I'll be honest with you, and speaking of portal decisions, Enright, who they had a couple of weeks ago, they brought in from DePaul, I'm still pissed at him for that three-point make at the end of Arch Madness against Indiana State, final 2 minutes. That probably, Todd, was the difference maker in that game, and, a difference maker in Indiana State going to the NIT, which was awesome, great experience last year, the year before last in this case, but certainly for a team that wanted to go to the NCAA, that was a backbreaker right there.
no question. I remember watching that on TV, and it was he was one of those guys that Indiana State fans really learned to, had a rivalry with or had a level of hatred for. But he's the kind of guy you want on your own team. So from Indiana's point of view, Connor Enright, is going to be a good facilitator for what Indiana has built around him, getting the ball to Wilkerson and DeVries and whomever else they would have, who they happen to add into their front court. So, yeah, he's a guy that you don't want to – you hate him if he's on the other team, but you love him when he's on your team. And I think that's what he's going to bring to the Hoosiers.
Do you like the fit in what everything is going on? You mentioned, the need for some more bigs, and that's definite here. But do you like the fit so far of everybody?
I do. I like the fact that they're not just going for, shiny objects. They're trying to make this work correctly on the floor. I like the fact that they've built in so much three-point shooting. I mean, Indiana just hasn't had that in years. I mean, you go back to probably when Tom Crean was coaching the last time they had an abundance of shooters. So they're going to be able to play modern basketball. And the one thing I would say, having watched DeVries' teams in the past, that is hard to quantify on Ken Pom or anything like that, is the one thing I also like is that he's bringing in players who are tough. The one thing I recall about his Drake teams is just they were hard-nosed. I mean, you think of three-point shooting teams sometimes as being kind of soft, but that's not the way his teams were. I can think of some big men he had there who Indiana fans wouldn't know, but Liam Robbins is probably the most famous one because he eventually played in the Big Ten at Minnesota and played in the NBA. But guys who you go in the lane and you're going to get beat up. And he has it from his guards. He has it from his front court. And that's something that, I think he's been able to get out of some of these players he's brought in. This team is going to be tough, too. And I like to see that because that's the way you got to be when you play in the Big Ten.
So Todd Golden, SI.com, covers the Hoosiers. A great resource for us, man. We'll work you into the show here in the future if you don't mind, Todd. It's good to have you back.
I'm glad to be back. Have me on anytime, and, I appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. Thank you very much. We'll do just that. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks a lot. Good to talk to you.
Todd Golden covers IU for SI.com. He is a good dude. I remember him from the days of the Terre Haute Tribune-Star when he covered our Indiana State Sycamores. Thomas, you want to join us on the other side, too?
Sounds great to me.
Thomas is going to be with us. We're at Premier Weight Loss North Side, 8902 North Meridian. We've got a great bunch of stuff going on. I would love to see you here. We roll this bad boy until 7 tonight, so join us, Northsiders, just to find out exactly where you are and what you want to do in the future. If you want to lose a little bit of weight, this is the place, Premier Weight Loss. Quick one, we'll come back. Mike Chappell, top of the hour. Tom Dienhart, the Boilermaker Hall so far in this so-called college basketball offseason. Also on the inbound, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
JMV.
The sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Chapel, top of the hour. Dean Hart, bottom of the 5. We're at Premier Weight Loss on the north side, 8902. Thank you very much for the George Benson Breeze and Yacht Rock re-entry, James, right there. This makes this drink taste even better, this cocktail. If I were just in a pool right now with this song, Yacht Rock Classic from George Benson. I mentioned Premier Weight Loss, 8902, North Meridian. Thomas Hilbert is here. We were kind of joking. We want to see you here, by the way, too. Come by for your in-body and for the refreshments we have, courtesy of the Ritz Charles. But the first time I was here, I remember telling you, before I got on my in-body, I said, yeah, I'll do this. I don't know if I really need to lose anything or not. And then I got my big ass on there. I was like 255, and I said, yeah, unless somebody's got a piano on my back here, I do need this work right here. How about it? So it was like, that was like a defining moment of my life right there.
Yeah, that's a real thing for men, because I think men, unlike women, we go a long time without getting on the scale. And a lot of times we don't have any idea what we weigh.
I had no idea. I sure as hell didn't think I weighed 250 stinking 5. I thought I wanted to kick that machine's butt.
It can happen quick, and I'll tell you, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, and I tell you, the one thing that I've learned about all this is how to handle it. And again, you're still going to have to handle things further down the road, because the one thing I'm going to figure out here with the help from you guys is, what the end game is. Mm-hmm. And I think, to me right now, the end game is just to continue the way that I'm going right now, because, Tom, I love the way that I feel. And I said that to Chad Buchanan when he brought that up. I love basketball, and I am going to play as long as I can. And this is literally, for me, in pickup hoop, turn back the clock.
I hear the NBA might give you the most improved player award this year.
I hope the hell so right there. But I absolutely love what this has done. And, it gives me some 55-year-old man goals that I never thought I would have, and certainly never thought I had the capability of reaching because of what you guys have done for me. And I want to thank you for that.
Well, one, you're so welcome. And two, I do think that's one of the things that's missed by a lot of people when it comes to weight loss, is just if you lose weight, and especially with some of these weight loss medications, they also reduce inflammation. So not only do you get the positives of losing the weight, but you can potentially have less inflammation as well. Next thing you know, you're feeling like an athlete again.
Yeah, well, I mean, my whole left knee, you have arthritis, and it's never going to be the same. And, here's a big difference now. I don't have similar knee pain because of this, because I'm not lugging around, 79 extra pounds as I was doing. It was this time a year ago, man.
That is crazy.
I mean, when you think about it, I didn't start this. I didn't really get into it. The last piece of bread I had was on the way home at a Jimmy John's, seriously, after I was in here and got on that old in-body thing here, and that was at the end of June. So I've been going down this path, and I feel great for it right here. So I got to thank you guys for it. It's been awesome.
Hey, well, we got a lot to thank you for, too. You've done awesome as well.
Well, we're going to stay at it. You going to hang with us?
I am.
Thomas Hilbert, we got a party going on right here. We would love to see you. I'll be here even after I sign off at 6 o'clock until 7. I'm going to hang out with everybody here. I would love to see you. If you want advice from me, that's great. But if you want advice from those that really do know that can help, you have them here at Premier Weight Loss. Thomas and the gang. And Rich Charles with the catering. We have a lot of fun for you. So if you're out and about on a Thursday night, North Side, 8902 North Meridian, Premier Weight Loss. And we'll even sign you up and play a little pickup hoop with me if you like basketball as well. We can do that here. Premier Weight Loss, North Side, 8902 North Meridian, 5 o'clock hour. We've got Mike Chappell and Tom Dienhart on the inbound. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
JMV. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Todd Golden joined us a little bit earlier, too, and mentioned the tulip trestle. I've told that story before about the motorcycle and tulip trestle. We did a lot of really stupid stuff back then. We would definitely go to jail for that stuff today. But I brought that story up. This is way back, and CSX said, hey, man, can you not bring that up? And even though oftentimes I absolutely hate the Indiana Railroad Company because they block things on Bluff Road and sometimes they're a pain in the ass. They haven't been recently, so I'm not mad at them. So, yeah, don't be a jackass. All right, just don't be a jackass. And what I mean by don't be a jackass, don't be like me when I'm 15 because I was a tremendous jackass. It was very stand-by-me-ish back there, if that makes sense to you. Todd was really good. We'll have Todd on more than just occasionally to talk IU stuff. Tom Dienhart with the Purdue Hall so far. Liam Murphy, Omar Meyer, Oscar Clough. We'll talk Boilermakers with Tommy D, bottom of the hour. Premier Weight Loss with our good friend Thomas Hilbert here. The party is on. We would love to see you. Get that free InBody. This thing is an expensive piece of machinery. You get on and find out what is going on in your body. What is happening? It tells you the story, and then you can do something about it, or if you don't want to do something about it, or you don't need to do something about it, you don't have to. Get that InBody while we're here. 8902 North Meridian at Premier Weight Loss on this Thursday. We would love to see you. Rich Charles has the great food. You know Rich Charles for being a great location. Great place to have a party, a get-together, a gathering, whatever. Many have done it in the past, but the catering there with both the beverages and the food is absolutely outstanding. So thank you to the Rich Charles in Carmel as well. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, that's bringing him in from Beech Grove, Indiana. The pride of Beech Grove, it's Mike Chappell with us from CBS 4 and Fox 59. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Mike, I am fantastic. So we're closing in. We're a week away, finally, from the first round of the NFL draft. Are we going here tight end or bust, hard target tight end, or are they going to, as we always have to hear, let the board speak to them?
Well, hopefully the board speaks to them and says tight end. I'm just
no
finishing
doubt.
up a story now in my five, all that they've done and the five areas of concern. And this is one of those drafts where your glaring need coincides with a draft that's deep, at least at the top with tight ends. So this isn't one where they've got to reach for one. One of those top two guys will be there. Who knows how they've got Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland ranked on their board. So I just think it's – and I see all the mock drafts. I follow the mock drafts. I mean, they're there for a reason. And, an edge pass rusher, I understand that. A guard, I don't understand that because people say, well, if you get a good guard, you can have the best guard tandem in the NFL. Big whoop. I don't care about having the best guard tandem in the NFL. I just think this is a case of where their roster, after getting a starting corner, after getting a starting safety, the one thing they've not done, probably by design, is tight end. And it's just been a glaring deficient need since Jack Doyle left. I mean, Jack was good. Jack was really good. And they've not been able, despite trying. I mean, they've invested draft picks, second or third and fourth or whatever it is, draft picks, and a later one at the position. So this just makes too much sense. So I hope that if they don't take a tight end in round one, I hope they can explain what plan B is, whether that's a one of the third or fourth tight end in round two. And then we'll see how good that tight end is after you've passed on the top two guys that most people consider. So it's one of those so obvious situations. I think that's the way they do it, but we'll see in 7 days.
Mike, this is 9-year new Chris Ballard we're talking about. 9-year new Chris Ballard doesn't go with a guard here. He goes for broke with something that he absolutely knows he needs, and that is tight end, right? This is 9-year new
agree.
Chris Ballard territory.
I agree. And again, if you want to argue that get a really good edge pass rusher to go with a group that lost Dio, and then come with the best tight end in round 2. You could argue that, not listen, but then that second round tight end, it better be doggone productive in his first year. They're so much is on the line this year, as we've talked about, and primarily it's Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. So one of these guys has to be the guy, and doggone it, give him a tight end, give him another option that's been missing. You look all over the league, and the better teams have tight ends that do damage, and we've seen tight ends hurt this team. So yeah, it just makes too much sense, and sometimes if it makes too much sense, it doesn't work. But and Chris has even talked openly about we need a game changer at the position. You know, and you get a chance. One of those guys is going to be there. I've not seen. I don't think I've seen one mock draft that's had both Warren and Loveland gone by 14. I really don't. And again, maybe a lot of the mock drafts have Tyler Warren going first, maybe as high as 7. I think that's where the Jets are. But there's every possibility that the Colts believe the Michigan kid's is a better prospect. So one of them almost assuredly will be there, and I just don't know how they explain. Well, yeah, we needed a tight end, but boy, this player at another position, a tackle or a guard or a pass rusher, we had higher on the board. I just think the need is there, and I think both of these players have a good enough grade by most people who do this for a living. I'm talking in the media, the draft analysts have both of these guys high enough in their top, 20, to where this isn't a reach. This isn't reaching. One of the all-time great stories I remember was Bill Tobin, and we asked him about reach and best player and all this, and he said that he learned his lesson. He was in Chicago, and they needed a left tackle so bad. And on the first round, they drafted their highest-rated offensive tackle, and he was our third-round prospect, and they took him, and it didn't work. He said, so you let your board in that way talk to you, reach a little bit. I'm not sure you reach in the top half of the first round, but I don't think they have to. From everything that I've read and seen, one of these two guys will fill the bill. This guy won't be more than likely won't be what Brock Bowers was with the Raiders last year. But they don't need that. Dallas Clark wasn't a prolific tight end in his first couple of years, but he grew into it. I look at the roster, and I can argue this position they need another safety, but certainly not in round 1. But boy, tight end is just that. I go back to, again, the last time that they were this deficient statistically at the position as they were last year was 1994. So you just simply can't go on with this kind of a tight end room. And I'm expecting next Thursday night that they pick one of these tight ends.
Yeah, it's funny. And Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I thought about this, and I'm curious what your thinking might be on a similar level here. Let's say for example, both Loveland and Warren are gone, or are going to be selected. Would this group, and again, in the changing of attitude in 9-year Chris Ballard here, would they trade up in any scenario that you would think, or would they again let the board tell them or dictate terms to them at number 14?
I think if they believe one of these guys, again, everybody has Tyler Warren being the first guy, but let's say, again, they like the other guy better, and they really, really like one of them, almost like Brock Bowers liked him. Remember, they missed him by 2 spots last year. I think if there's an internal consensus on this guy is that good, you move up and get him. I've not seen any draft, I don't think, that mock draft to where you have to move up to get Colston Loveland. I just haven't seen him top 10, top 13. I don't think. Now, Tyler Warren's different. If that's the guy you like, I've seen him. It's probably 50-50 on him being there at 14. So if you really like Tyler Warren, if you really like him, then you move up. And if it takes giving up I've not done the draft value table, whether it takes giving up a second, a fifth, whatever. I do it. I mean, you just do it. I don't know how much it would take to move up from 14 to, let's say, 6 ahead of the Jets to make sure of that. But if you really believe that guy is that good, they tried to move up to get a receiver last year, and they just couldn't do it because the Giants didn't want to part with that pick. If you really like the guy, go and get him, and if it costs you a draft pick or so, then so be it. You've got the guy you wanted, and don't settle on a guy because you weren't willing to give up an extra pick or two. Now, if you don't like the guys that much, you stand pat. And if you really like Colston Loveland, I just don't think you have to move up to get him.
So Mike Chappell joins us. Colts draft, round number 1, coming up next Thursday. Of course, we know that. Rest of the draft will be what in your case? What are they going to try to replenish in the draft for those picks? So let's just say, I guess, for the sake of our conversation here, everything remains the same.
Again, I've got my 5 needs, and tight ends 1, and I believe I've got defensive line 2, edge rusher because you lose Dio, offensive line. Gosh, I haven't got my story up here. I could just read it. I can read it off of what I've got. Draft needs. Again, they've done some good things, but there's more work to do. Let me look here. Tight end, edge rusher.
Yeah.
Linebacker. They need a starting weak side linebacker with EJ Speed gone. And then I've got offensive line. They need to find a guard/tackle. You don't know the long-term status of Braden Smith. And now if he's, he's back in a good place, thank goodness. Really, I mean, that's number 1. But he's not old. He's like 30, 31. He's still got some time to play if he wants to. But, you lose Will Fries, you lose Ryan Kelly, so I think they still need an offensive lineman. And then it's what you need a safety. They're thin at safety, even with Bynum, because Julian Blackman is unsigned, and I assume he's not coming back. Do they take a quarterback? Probably. People will go bonkers if they take the Texas kid, Quinn Ewers, but that you're looking for a young developmental guy, which I understand. I'd take a running back. They need a young running back, and this is apparently a crazy draft for running back. You can get you a pretty good guy in the 4th round, 5th round, and you sign Khalil Herbert to be the veteran guy. But Jonathan Taylor, they're gonna. I think is he under contract? I think for 2 more years. I don't think it's 3. I think 2 more years, and then it's probably time to move on. It'll be really. I'd be surprised if they extend Taylor again, because running backs, as great as he's been for them, they tend to wear down quicker. There's only so many Derrick Henrys on the planet. He'll play another 2 or 3 years and be just as effective, which none of us really expected. So there's still areas, but again, they need a tight end. They need the starting tight end who's not here yet. They probably need the starting weak side linebacker who may not be here yet. So there's still room areas to worry about, but getting the safety in the corner were huge because it gave you the flexibility to look elsewhere with that 1st round pick.
So Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 every Thursday right here in the 5 o'clock hour on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Colts draft conversation we've been talking about. I don't know how deeply we have gone with this, but I am curious since obviously you've been around here since the Mayflower got here and the Irsay family were here as well on the inbound back in 1984. Are you disappointed that we haven't recently at all heard anything from Jim Irsay?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I know he's still working on his physical therapy. The next chance, he wasn't at the owners' meetings. The next chance for us to talk to him would be in the draft. I think there's a chance we talk to him at the draft, but his is a voice we need to hear for a lot of reasons. It's his team, for crying out loud. And I think there's interest/concern from the fan base and from the media. I mean, just because it's rare that we've gone this long. I'm trying to think the last time that I was going to say but the last time I talked to him, it's been a while.
Yeah.
And he's been out there. He was at Canton for Dwight Freeney, and he was at the stadium for Freeney's Ring of Honor. I think Venturi and those guys had him on during the preseason game, didn't they? I thought
they did. He was up in the booth for that, but it's been few and far between, for real.
Yeah. So and knowing how interactive he has been with the media, with his fan base, for crying out loud. I mean, how many times have we seen him out doing things with the fan base? So yeah, sooner rather than later, and sooner's already gone. So as soon as possible, I hope we have a chance. The draft it's been maybe a couple of years, but we'd go back there on like Saturday, I thought it was, and sit in his office. He'd bring in the regular media guys and would sit there for half an hour or whatever it was, and have good back and forth. And in this off season, I think it's overdue when he's able to just explain what's up. The thing he posted on social media when they decided to keep Ballard and Steichen, that really didn't answer a lot of questions that we would have. But more than that, just again, full disclosure. I mean, this is a guy I've known since '84, and I've come to consider him a friend. And you just want to see him and see he's doing okay. And then from my perspective, then I go to the team issues. But first and foremost, I'm eager to see how he's doing, that he's doing okay. And this team needs his leadership. It needs direction. And hopefully
there's nobody else to do it. There's nobody else to do it. I mean, with all due respect to everybody else, there's nobody else to do it. And Mike, you can play off of this as well. And I hope that everything is okay and that he is on the uptick and feeling better and getting back into better shape again. But until you see it, there is always that belief of the worst, and there just will be.
Well, and that's human nature, and I understand that,
yeah.
And I think everyone with the team understands that. And again, this is not the way Jim normally operates. He likes to be involved, not involved. He's involved now with the team, but I'm saying interactive with the media, with his fan base, and the sooner he can get back to doing that, I know him losing some of his mobility with the surgery he had. He's a very active guy, whether it's just getting around, whether it's playing golf, and that's been missing. And so hopefully he's on the other side of getting beyond the mobility issues. And I think he we'll look forward to it, but I'm sure he's even more so looking forward to it, because that's a big part of what he believes in is
Sure.
interaction. Which would reassure the fan base, because right now people don't know. I'm assuming that, yes, Carly and the daughters are involved, and Chris Ballard's had to have assumed a larger role. But this is still his team, and I know he's involved. I know he is, but it's still until you see him and lay eyes on him and talk with him, there's going to be a concern. Which the only way to get past that is to have him meeting with the media. And I'm hopeful. I don't know anything for sure, but I'm hopeful we get that chance in the draft. But until we do, there's concern just because there is.
Yeah, there is. And there have been opportunities to hear from him. And, normally in the past, especially with decisions of maintaining this course, which was highly brought into question, and which is really, you and I both know this, very out of character, then you want to see and hear from the guy himself. And that's kind of the problem I think a lot of people have right now. And then you mentioned, Chris Ballard, running things. And a lot of people are going to suggest, well, that's the reason why Chris is still around. It's because, Jim hasn't been in a situation to where, he feels that he can make a change right now.
Right.
If it had been 2 years ago, Jim Irsay, then the clock would have probably been cleaned. But now, maybe not so much, and that gives people even more of a concern.
Yeah, that again is one thing. Is I tend to consider 2022 a one-off that just, boy, we didn't get, that happened, but darn, it was just an aberration. Because generally, he likes continuity. He believes continuity is the best thing to do. You just don't fire coaches like Robert Irsay did. That's so counterproductive to progress. But in this instance, the patience has really been much more than you might expect, considering it's been 4 years. So the last time they went this long without a playoff berth, it was 1988 to 94. That's a long time, and to not see progress in certain areas, meaning quarterback, it just kind of impedes your growth. So they've shown patience, probably, well, certainly more so than most of the fan base would want. And he really needs to take time to explain himself. And hopefully the next time we talk to him, whether it's in the draft, whether it's, I don't know, during the off season, I would like to think it's before training camp. He can sort of say, this is, yes, this is still my team. Yes, I'm still involved. And this is why we've done what we've done. I think the fan base needs to hear that.
So Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group Podline. We'll be talking this up coming up next Thursday because it will be close, the closest, and then we'll find out.
The next time we talk, we still won't know who the hell they drafted.
We won't. I know it. We'll still be yip-yapping like we're yip-yapping right now. Mike, hey, I appreciate it, buddy. Next week, we'll get right down to it.
Be well. We'll see you next week.
So Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. Premier Weight Loss, North Side, 8902 North Meridian. Stop by. I'll be here until 7 o'clock. We'll be here until 7 o'clock. Get those in bodies here absolutely free. Get a little of advice if you feel like getting a better you. If you don't like where you are right now, maybe you want to lose a little bit of weight. The opportunity is here. I'm a great example of it because I'm the biggest wuss of all time. And here I am. Never thought I could do this, and here I am. And if you feel like you can't, believe me, you can with Thomas and the gang at Premier Weight Loss. 8902 North Meridian. We'll be here until 7 o'clock with our party. Shout out to Rich Charles for being here as well with the catering. We'll come back. Tom Dienhart, Golden Black Illustrated. So Clough, Murphy, and Meyer is where we're going with that. The whole restocking of the cupboard for Matt Painter. We'll do that with Tom Dienhart coming up on the other side. Do not go anywhere. The AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. I know Thomas Hilbert's going to rejoin, and I know we're going to have the greatest race weekend of all time. I'll explain why coming up in the final 30. Don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
With JMV.
Hey, my buddy, Swanson, full steam ahead, over there. I want to go over there. Move over, Swanson, I'm driving.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Welcome back, Premier Weight Loss North Side. It is 8902 North Meridian. Would love to see you out here. This is to remind you of what is going to be an incredible weekend. Friday, May the 23rd, that is Carb Day 2025. Brought to you by Miller Lite with Brett Michaels. And the All-American Rejects. Again, that's at Carb Day. Get your tickets now. Be a part of it. You know about the legendary shows that I put on for you in Pagoda Plaza and then Carb Day. But I've decided to take it to a different level this year. We, along with Braun's Fun Time Campers on Pendleton Pike, I will have a KZ RV that I will be spending the weekend, race day weekend in the Coke Lot. And this is for me and all of us. And by the way, go see our friend Austin at Braun's in Pendleton Pike. I mean, do it now because their selection is incredible. But they're going to park an RV out there, I believe on Thursday night, maybe Friday morning of Carb Day morning, and leave it out there until Monday, late afternoon, Memorial Day. That is going to be our home base. And then on Saturday night, the night before the 500, the JMV Takeover will be live from that RV, that KZ RV from Braun's Fun Time Campers on Pendleton Pike in the Coke Lot with everybody, and you are all invited. So if you ever thought about having a Coke Lot weekend with the race party, this is going to be it. So it all starts with Carb Day. We'll do Carb Day with Brett Michaels, All-American Rejects. Our friend Clayton Anderson has a show going on over in Speedway on Main Street later on that evening, and all weekend long we party in the Coke Lot, and the JMV Takeover is live for 6 hours from the Coke Lot and our Braun's Fun Time Campers RV in the Coke Lot coming up on Saturday night. It is going to be incredible. Thanks to Austin, and once again, Braun's Fun Time Campers for that. And get your tickets to Carb Day, Miller Lite Carb Day today, IMS.com, and even more. We'll see you all out there because it is coming up quickly and the party is going to be on. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, a little feel-good going on in West Lafayette right now to talk about that. He is noted metalhead and friend of the show from Golden Black Illustrated. Tom Dienhart joins us. Now, would you want to make the party with us? Does that sound like a hell of a Carb Day weekend with me in an RV in the Coke Lot?
That sounds awesome, John. We should be nomads. Those people just drive around and live in their RV and get temporary jobs at Amazon places. I'm in, man. Count me in.
You have to show up. My friend Jess over here says it's her birthday that weekend. She's going to be there. We're going to have everybody. This is going to be absolutely incredible. And you sometimes may be too young, I will say that, but you're never, ever too old. And that's, I think, the gist of the celebration we're going to have for race weekend out in the Coke Lot with us, too. So, Tommy D, come on in, join us. We'll hang out and have an absolute blast.
I'll bring the jarts. You play jarts?
I played, jarts. What are those things where you throw them, they got balls on both ends? They've got two balls and a string. Then we're all going to giggle because you think I'm describing something else, and I'm not. Two balls and a string, and it kind of wraps around this pole. What's that?
I can't think of what that's called. I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah, we play jarts, and how about the croquet set? You got a croquet set. We have to put croquet.
Oh, we could put croquet in there, and but I'm a big fan of jarts. That was fun. That was like the modern day back in the 70s horseshoes. If you remember.
Yeah, can you imagine them jarts today? There's no way. There's no earthly way they'd let anybody manufacture.
Can you imagine how big of a dumbass you have to ever be hit by one of those things, which is the reason why I guess you'd describe it as being impaled. Can you imagine how stupid you have to be be impaled by a yard jar? Seriously.
Yeah, if you weren't coherent though, maybe you could, but you're right. You'd have to be pretty out of it to get impaled by a first line of your obit.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty dubious obit to be a death by jar.
Incredible. The old yard. Those plastic circles that you put together right there. This is great fun. Forever. How about a little hey, how about if I bring a badminton net? I mean, pickleball's taking over everything right now. But I think we've kind of lost track on the greatness that is badminton. How about a badminton net?
Yeah, badminton was fun. Yeah, you mentioned pickleball. That's something I want to play. I haven't played yet. I got a couple paddles here, and I got to get into it at some point. It looks kind of fun. Yeah, badminton kind of has gotten lost in the shuffle here, hadn't it?
Yeah,
And,
unfortunately, too. And it's kind of great. I mean, you use a shuttlecock. I mean, who doesn't like to say that a bunch of times? Shuttlecock.
The shuttlecock.
Love it.
Yeah. Get that net.
Especially on the radio right here. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Purdue's Hall. Hey, Tommy D, Purdue's Hall so far, either via the transfer portal or inbound freshmen right here. What do you think of the mix?
As far as the hoop team go?
Yes.
Football? Yeah, hoops has been incredible, hasn't it? I mean, the kid from Israel, Omar Mayer, the 6'4" kid, an Israeli 18-year-old. I mean, he's going to be a guy that can play point guard, give Braden Smith the bell, but also play in tandem with him, I think, as well. You put him in the mix in that backcourt with Lawyer, obviously Jakari Harris as well, C.J. Cox, and then you go to the front court, right? Daniel Jacobson, the big 7'3" kid who got hurt last year. He'll be back. And then they got the kid from South Dakota, Oscar Clough. And then Trey Kaufman ran, right? So, I mean, yeah, you can imagine they're already jacked out of the mind up here, John, and they want basketball season to start now. And it's funny to read the message board posts. You know, they think this is one of the best teams ever assembled. So the hype has already begun, and the anticipation is big, and it's going to be interesting to see how everything unfolds next fall.
Tom Dienhart of Golden Black Illustrated is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Here's one I'm going to bring up, and you can break down those three names you just mentioned a little bit more. But Jack Benter out of Brownstown Central, people are going to charge me with being way too Southern Indiana intensive with the promise of a particular player. But I think Boilermaker fans are going to like what they have in this kid. He had a chance to redshirt this year. What are we thinking about his inclusion coming up next year with this group as well?
Yeah, just a shot maker off the bench, right? A guy you can put in the corner to dish the ball off to and hit that open three just to sort of stretch defenses and, you know, take some pressure off the interior guys. More obviously effective from the outside. Those guys on the inside are going to be that much more impactful. So, yeah, I think he's a guy that we tend to kind of forget about, you're right, amid the hype of some of these portal guys. And, of course, there's the other portal guy. They got the big 6'7", 6'8" shooter, Liam Murphy from North Florida, who also played at Columbia. So he's a bigger guy who's going to come off the bench as well and be able to stretch defenses. So you're right, Benter, Murphy, and there's probably not many guys on the team that couldn't stretch that defense out and maybe take a three. So it's going to be just a rare weapon for Matt Payne to work for in his 21st season coming up, next fall, winter.
And part of this as well is I think the description kind of these days is described as still some meat left on the bone. It's kind of like eating a wing, right? There's still some meat left on the bone, and that's, I think, how Boilermaker fans feel after what happened in the Sweet 16 against Houston. I mean, you have a team that is, 3 bad possessions away from winning a national title that essentially Purdue came back from, which nobody had done this season, and had a great opportunity to win, provided they execute, which clearly they did not down the stretch.
Yeah, they had Houston on the ropes there. Everybody who watched that game saw it. And it's funny, John, I saw a graphic in this last week on Twitter that chronicled the teams with the most NCAA wins without a national title. And you know who's number one, don't you? Of course, Purdue, right?
I can guess.
50,
I can guess.
And they've come so – we saw them a couple years ago against Connecticut. And this year's team, now people are thinking, is it going to be a preseason number one squad? And the highest Purdue's ever been preseason is number 2. That's going back to my era in college, 1987-88, when they had Troy Lewis, Todd Mitchell, and Everett Stevens. That team was number 2 in the preseason polls. Of course, they ended in heartache, and they got beat by Kansas State and Mitch Richmond in the Sweet 16 up in Pontiac, Michigan. So some pretty heady company, and it's going to be interesting to see how high this team does rank in the polls when they start coming out here next fall.
How much would you guess Braden Smith is getting in NIL money?
Whatever he's getting, it's worth it, right? God, if I were
Yeah.
to guess, $3 million, $3 or $4 million.
See, I shortchanged him yesterday. I think Kevin Bowen asked me, and I said, "What's he getting, like $1 million?" I probably would get $1 million in the transfer portal next year, right? If I were still playing.
Yeah, I mean, I got to think $3 or $4 million, and I'm not sure. That's just a guess, right?
Yeah.
And that could be sparsed up a few different ways. That could be pure NIL. You know, I know he's got a national deal with West Stanley, I think. And then you're going to have Boilermaker Alliance collective money. And then you're going to have just the revenue stream money that's going to kick in as well in July. So the whole pot for Braden Smith could be divided over a few different sources. But I bet you when you add it up, it's maybe $3 or $4 million. And obviously, I think he's worth every penny of it. And I guess I was a little surprised, John, that he's not going to go through, at least I don't think he's going to go through the NBA draft process. I guess I'd still be kind of interested going through, going up to the camp and getting evaluated by the NBA people just to see what they think. But he's made his decision quickly. He's coming back, and as you can imagine, that set up a lot of excitement here in West Lafayette.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of it, I guess, right now when you can take advantage of it, because don't we both know that there is no way that financially this whole situation is going to continue to last in the advantage in which they're taking it. They're taking it to a different level right now. Monetarily speaking, there's no way this can last.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going. Do they need to come up with some type of a union or some facsimile of a union where you can collectively bargain? And I mean, right now it's great for the players. I mean, the players love it for obvious reasons. You know, they got unfettered free agency. They can come and go as they will, go to the highest bidder. It's great for the players. It's terrible for the schools. So they would like to be able to collectively bargain things like having a salary cap and some type of a salary structure, I'm sure, and some type of contracts, just to kind of give more order to all of it. I think with me all, John, like just a little bit more of a streamlined system where there were some parameters, just like the pro ranks, obviously, because you know it's tough year to year seeing the tumult on these rosters change, and we're seeing with the Purdue football team up here right now. It's crazy right now. We already have almost 20 guys in the portal. Probably going to get 20, 25 out of the portal this spring, and that's after getting 29 out of the portal in December. So it's just pure chaos right now for the football team.
What's that whole thing going to look like once the season gets underway, Tommy D?
Football team, man, I've got no idea. It's you know, I think if they could get scratch out 2 to 4 wins, I think it'd be great. Just so many unanswered questions right now. Tough schedule: USC, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois. You got to throw them on there too, right? A lot of heavy lifting there. Who's going to be the quarterback? You know, the news broke today about Ryan Brown. He's here right now on a visit. You know, he was the quarterback for a couple of games last year, went to the portal, went to North Carolina for the spring. Now he's back in the portal visiting West Lafayette. So who knows, Ryan Brown could be back as a quarterback next year. So that's the biggest question they got to sort out right now. Who's going to be your quarterback in the 2025 season?
Tommy D, it's a pleasure. I'll see you coming up on race weekend, right? Down in the Coke lot with me and the Bronze Fun Time Campers KZRV. Me and you and all of our friends.
You know, I want to see the JMV takeover sometime too. That was like a good deal.
Oh man, I'll play you a little docking in my dreams just for you, Tommy D.
You know, you always take care of me, John. I appreciate your friendship, and I always love hearing your voice. I appreciate you having me on, buddy.
You got it, man. Thanks, Tommy D.
Be good.
It's Tom Dienhart, Golden Black Illustrated on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Final time, we are here. You know where we are. Premier Weight Loss, North Side, 8902 North Meridian until 7 o'clock. We're here. We'll come back. Thomas Hilbert rejoins for a final time with us on the radio. It's next on how you can join us, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Swanson, full steam ahead. Over there. I want to go over there. Move over, Swanson. I'm driving.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Premier Weight Loss Northside, 8902 at North Meridian. Thomas Hilbert runs things here. He is with us right now. This has been a fantastic day. Hell, I didn't know it was raining outside till I just looked, and I thought, man, it's pouring down rain. What the hell? Who called for that? Not to rip Sean Ash. I didn't see any of that on the extended forecast right here. I know it's supposed to rain or maybe storm tomorrow, a high of 80, and this weekend too. But today, come on, Thomas, what up?
I know. It must be raining weight loss medications.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Hey, well, talk about the situation. For those that may not be able to make it out, still, we want to get them in here. So talk a little bit about what you guys provide.
Yeah, so long story short, I mean, we have doctors, nurse practitioners, and everyone is specialized in weight loss, I would say, options, whether it's weight loss therapeutics, the exercise around it, the dieting around it. We kind of try to take a full comprehensive approach. So if anyone is ever interested in losing weight, even if it's only 15 to 25 pounds, I'd just say, come on in. Our initial appointment, you get a body composition scan. You'll get how much skeletal muscle mass you have, which is always fun for guys. And you'll meet with the doctor or nurse practitioner. And if you do qualify, you'll leave that day with prescription in hand, which is always something people love because you can get it rocking and rolling that day.
Look, look right there. That's a hell of an umbrella right there.
It is. We've got we've got an employee leaving right now with a makeshift garbage bag poncho.
That is nice. Yes, I'm ready. Thank you very much. I'm telling you, we got a great staff too. A little bit about the staff that can help you along for your weight loss journey as well, if you decide to do that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think our staff is probably the best part of our team.
No doubt. And they dealt with me awesomely, too. I had no idea what I was getting into once I started. And it's all worked out absolutely fantastically. And, again, North Meridian location, you got a location in Fishers as well, don't you?
We do. 106th and 69 is our second, and both locations are equally awesome. That's what I'd say.
Give people the hours and how they can come by. Maybe if it's tomorrow, maybe it's coming up next week, but at some point, if you're thinking about do it.
Yeah. So we're open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can schedule directly on our website, which is pwlindy.com, or you could just Google Premier Weight Loss and then click into Premier Weight Loss.
Oh, wow.
Schedule right there. Give us a call. Any questions you have, we're more than happy to answer. And the nice thing is our doctors, our nurse practitioners, all we do is weight loss, which means we are true experts, or at least we like to think we are.
No, and they are. I mean, listen, I went through this entire thing, and it just worked out fantastically. I mean, it really does. And another friend of ours who's on B105.7, Sean Copeland, is big time into this as well, and it's worked out great for him.
Sean's down over 100 pounds.
Yeah, I didn't even 100. That's another one I had no idea.
Kind of blows my mind. You would never. Sean always carried it very well. You would have never thought it.
Yeah, 100 pounds he is down right there, and I'm thinking 79 is awesome. Then you're thinking about Sean going 100. Hey, give out your number again, and pwlindy.com is the website address so people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so give us a call. You can either call 317-643-4444 or 317-567-9100. Totally up to you. But both of our offices are equally awesome, and I would just say 317-643-4444.
Look at that. There's awesome right there. You get dealt with all the time.
I know, Sam, she's the best.
Sam is awesome right there. Just does a great job with me right there. And the response you've received since you first opened the doors here, how incredible has that been?
I have been shocked. I always say, this business, just like any business, was kind of started from a capitalism point of view, and immediately I was amazed by the patient point of view. It just took a couple weeks, and you start to see how quickly you're changing patients' lives and how grateful they are for it. And the next thing you know, you care far more about that than you do anything else. It's like just hearing the stories is amazing.
Well, and I talk about it in terms of health, too, and how I want to feel and how I want to be. I mean, certainly I was comfortable a year ago at this time, but I knew that I had some issues, and one of those was the blood pressure. And that is something that has changed dramatically for me over this process, incredibly enough.
Well, and that's a big thing about it, right? Is like these medications, people think of them as whether it's diabetes and or weight loss. That's what they're approved for. But we've seen a lot of anecdotal evidence and even clinical trial evidence that they help with blood pressure, they help with cholesterol. So if you're going to your annual physical and your doctor's telling you you need to make all these changes in your life, you need to start a statin, this, that, the other, and you also think you might want to lose some weight, this is at least an option that's worth talking to our doctors or nurse practitioners or even your primary care provider about. It's just worth exploring.
Thomas Hilbert right here. Can they ask for you?
Of course. They can ask for me. They can ask for our lead physician, Dr. Scott Friedman, or they can ask for any of our nurse practitioners. You can see them all on the website.
Oh, it works. So you can ask me as well. Hell, I can tell you as well. Do you have people that normally do this that change up their diet in the fashion in which I have as well?
We do. I will say I think you are probably in the top 10 to 15% of our patients in terms of your dedication, which is why your results have been so incredible.
I've been dedicated.
But we see the anecdotal stories we hear. One of my favorites is about 5 months in, we had a guy come and he goes, "This has saved my marriage." And we were like, well, what do you mean? Like, your wife finds you more attractive, or what's going on? And he was like, has nothing to do with that. He goes, she just thinks I'm far more tolerable now. He's like, I'm just happier at home. And I was like, I'd never heard that, but it's still one of my favorites.
PWLindy.com, right?
PWLindy.com.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it for everything you've done for me. Thomas Hilbert right here, everybody. Thanks to everybody at Premier Weight Loss for having us today as well. We're going to be here until 7, so still time if you're on the north side, 8902 North Meridian, Premier Weight Loss, or PWLindy.com. Be sure to check in with them. Dev, thank you very much. Promotion staff is here as well. Back in studio tomorrow. Good to see Jess over there. More about what is going to be an incredible race weekend with Bronze, Fun Time Campers, and me and the JMV Takeover the night before the 500. That and Evan Sider and more coming up tomorrow. James, great job out of you. We'll talk with you back in studio tomorrow at 3. Have a great night.